Hey folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt Africa here on the Indaba Africa channel, part of the Indaba Broadcasting Network. Well, I'm kind of stoked. I'm chuffed, as they say in South Africa. We say stoked on this side of the Atlantic. A long time in coming, but here it is. None other than the world's greatest ever lock, Victor Matfield, former Springbok number 705, right here on Chris Wyatt Africa. Victor, how gaan it?
Gaan baie goed, dankie. No, it's really going well. Had a great win from the Boks on the weekend. I'm down in Cape Town for 10 days. So, yeah, a little holiday around the 2 test matches. So, yeah, it's
well,
very well.
That's brilliant. Looks like connection is not the best, so we'll Cape Town apparently, the mother city, apparently doesn't have great internet connection right now, but we'll try to make sure we get this through. But that's excellent. So you're down to Mother City for this. Unfortunately, you can't go to the test matches, but maybe you can. So don't tell us if you can. We won't tell anybody. But it's not open to spectators. That's my big disappointment. I intended to be there. I bought a Springboks jersey when they came out, a Lions jersey, and tried to book tickets, and then everything got canceled. But I guess we could talk a little about the British and Irish Lions series. I don't know how far you want to go into it. Rassie Erasmus has certainly been making some waves this past week, and World Rugby now is apparently going to have a hearing about it. But strangely enough, they're not having a hearing about Warren Gatland complaining about the officiating before the series started. But I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. That's probably dangerous water. You're a television presenter. But this game last weekend, a couple really beautiful artistic tries out of the box, eh?
Yeah, I think, firstly, luckily I can go to the stadium. I am with Super Sports, so part of the media, so I can get in. We actually sideline, and I must say, being sidelined without spectators in the field, it just feels like this game is getting more physical every year. I'm very glad I'm not playing anymore, and I've still got all my limbs. So, yeah, it's getting tough. But, yeah, great game. I don't think one of the most attacking style of games, if you look at South Africa and the British and Irish Lions, they know what we're doing. We love defending in South Africa. We want to throw the ball to other people and say, you know what, run with it. We want to tackle you and we want to play from turnovers. And Gatland, the first test, he got away with it, didn't play anything. They won the aerial battle. But in the second test, he tried the same, but we were just too good. I mean, winning that aerial battle, winning set piece, winning the mauling battle, the scrumming battle, just the contact point, we just dominated them. And I must say, with this 2 packs of forwards that we've got, the guys starting and then the guys coming off the bench, it can't be easy playing against South Africa at the moment.
You know, it's interesting you say that, and I don't know if it's because the stadiums are empty and the microphones pick up everything, or the game really is that much more physical. But, oh, my goodness, the hits, from this side of the Atlantic, listening to the game, you can hear everything, and the crashing goes on there. It really does sound like this series has been a very physical game thus far. And now we come up for an amazing, last match. It actually matters because it's 1-1. So no one's won this series, and it's still up for grabs. But after watching this game last week, I didn't see anything in the tank for the British and Irish Lions. I think they're going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat in order to pull this out. I've got the Bucs by at least 10 this weekend. What about yourself? You think we got a chance to take this one?
Yeah, again, these games are games of inches, especially the way these two play. I thought Gatland had an interesting selection on this weekend and leading up to today. Of course, he's got quite a few of the English and Scottish players that probably would like to play more ball-in-hand approach and play with width, throw it around, have those hard runners with the guys in behind where you can play nice and deep and really attack the South African defence. But the team that Gatland selected is one that's going to play a very conservative game again. They're going to stick with a kicking game. Hopefully they can get the results that they got in the first test match. So they're definitely not coming out to play against this defence of South Africa. They're going to kick the ball a lot, and they believe they can win those scraps around those high balls. And I don't know if they think they can stand up to the South African pack of forwards, but if they want to, they will have to lift the game. I mean, in that second half, and it's not just the second half. I think in the first half, guys laid that foundation. They were in them. They were squeezing them. They were pressurizing them the whole time. And then in the second half, when we brought in those fresh legs, that wall just broke and we came through. So I think the South African side knows how to play this game. And I'm not sure if the British and Irish Lions got the guys to beat us at their own game. But for South Africa, we have to be at the same mental attitude. We have to go into the game with, you know what, there's no back door. We're backs against the wall. We must win this game. Otherwise, it will be a serious loss in South Africa. We don't want that. So we need that same mentality going into the game.
Well, speaking of fresh legs in the second half, I mean, what's your thoughts on Trevor Nkanye? I thought that was a brilliant job. He came out there in the second half. He made an amazing impact. And they also shifted him around, not playing where he normally plays. That was pretty incredible, I thought, on short notice.
Yeah, like I said, that front row that came on, a lot of people don't know it. Trevor started at loose head, so he probably played about 8 years as a professional as a loose head. And then the Bulls had problems and they moved him over to tight head, and he really did well there, and that's why he's playing for the Springboks at tight head. But he's actually a loose head, and he showed it on Saturday. Just the power that he put through there. But I mean, you have to say, listen, Vincent Koch, Malcolm Marx, it was a whole team effort in that front row. But it's nice to see the tongue out of Trevor. He's a character, someone is just love to be around. He's such a nice guy. So great to see him stepping up. And again, I mean, if you think back to the first test, a guy like Oxen Che had a brilliant game in that first half. And now I don't know if he'll be able to make the team. So I think South Africa is very fortunate to have a lot of great front rows at the moment.
Well, I was headed there. You beat me to the punch with Vincent Koch and Malcolm Marx. They also did perform brilliantly. You could see the difference, those fresh legs coming out there, and those guys really gelled and did a great job. This third test should be interesting, though. As you said, you're not sure if the Brits have an answer for the Springboks. But one thing I'd love to see, and of course, you're one of the big guys there in the middle, but I used to play on the wing. So I'd like to see some space open up in this game and get Chesley Colby out there running, and Lucanio Am and Makazole and Pipi get some sprinting out there. That's kind of the one thing we haven't seen so far. It's been kind of a phase after phase sort of thing and crashing at the ruck. Hopefully we can get some little open space for those who like to see a little Brian Habana speed out there.
Chris, I don't want to disappoint you. You're not going to see that. So for South Africa to play that way, we need a team playing against us, moving the ball around. And then when we create turnovers with our defense, then we will release those speedsters. If you think back to New Zealand, to Japan, that semi-final against Wales, the boring game, people almost booing because it was just kicking. That's what we've seen in this first two games. So that's what Gatlin thinks that's how you beat the Boks. England on the other side, they went out, they played the best game against New Zealand with attack, with ball in hand, multi-phases, playing with width. Then they came against us, but we've got to rush the fence. No one's got to rush the fence like South Africa in the world. And it's very hard to play against it. If you get it right, you can put them away. But if you get it wrong and we get turnovers, then we get Colby, Mampimpi, Valilaroo into space, and then we're very dangerous. So I don't think with a team that Gatlin selected they're going to play, they're going to go back to that first test and that first 40 minutes on the weekend and say, listen, we just got it wrong for 40 minutes. We didn't win the aerial battles. Maybe if we win the aerial battles, we can be in the game. But with the team he selected, they're not going to play. So I don't think we'll see a lot of turnovers and space for our outside backs.
Now, one concern for this, of course, we lost Dwayne Vermeulen, it looked like, for the whole series. He's been called up, but I guess it's day-to-day, and they're not going to let us know. Hopefully keep that information close to the vest. So maybe he'll get on the pitch, maybe he won't. But it's still exciting to see him called back up, if not for the Rugby Championship coming up shortly. But Peter Steph du Toit went off after that I think it should have been a card, but anyway, that hit that took place. But he's out, it appears, and I think that's a massive loss for us. The guy's just amazing. One of my favorite players at the moment. He really brings it in the game every time he comes out there. Looks like we won't see him play this weekend. Is that correct?
Yeah, it looks like he's out for this weekend, or he is out for this weekend. The IRB Player of the Year not being available is a big loss for us, but he was out of the game after about 25 minutes, and a guy like Kwagga Smith came on and he had a huge impact in the game. So I think we always say it's a squad effort. If you want to win a series like this, you need a squad, and now the other guys need to step up. No, Dwayne's in the squad, but it looks like he's not there this weekend. We'll probably be back for the championship the week after, so just not in time for this weekend. And I think the greatest possibility is probably Franco Mosset moving to the blind side, Lua de Jager coming in, and then we'll have the two hobbits coming off the bench, playing and stealing balls in the last 20, 30 minutes. So that's probably what we'll see. Visa will have another go. Great first test match for Visa, and he will get another opportunity.
Well, it's interesting. People talk about the game. Go back to the 2019 Rugby World Cup, and before that, in the build-up to it, as the tests were coming up and we got to Japan, a lot of amateur commentators were complaining about Faf de Klerk. He's always doing these box kicks. What's that all about? But, I mean, when you look at the Rugby World Cup, it's hard to argue that was a very effective tool, and the Springboks used it very well to their advantage, and when they could get the openings, they got them. Now, this series, we've seen a lot of kicking, and for people like to see the space and open running and more like a sevens approach, it's a little disappointing. But if it works, it works. And I think the point I'm trying to get at here, Victor, is that I think a lot of people that are unfamiliar with the game, and even those familiar with the game, don't realize that you have to plan for your opponent. It's not like you just plan your game, you get out there and do it. You have to make adjustments for who you're playing, because teams play different styles, and that really makes a big impact on how you prepare for each game. Yes?
Yes, and most of the time it's little changes, but I saw a video this week, I think it's Martin Johnson, where he says the Springboks plan A doesn't work. They just come back with another plan A. So we know what we're going to do. We're going to go out. Our forwards will be very physical. We will try and dominate the set pieces. We'll play territory. We won't play different. That's how South Africa play. We play territory, but the thing that we want bad kicks. We want turnover ball. Then from turnovers, we're really dangerous. And that's how we play. And that's how we win games. We're not a team that plays like New Zealand, go out, play with a lot of options, play a lot of phases. That's not South Africa. They want to use their big forwards. They don't want to run their forwards off their feet by ruck after ruck after ruck. We want to go to a set piece. We want to scrum. We want to go to a maul. We want a mauling battle, because that we can do, and we're big and strong. So, yes, you want this nice ball-in-hand approach. The only way you'll get that is from turnovers. And when we kick the ball and it bounces, then you'll see, I mean, again, Saturday, Mampimpi, that speed, that cross kick of Andre, pinpoint. But still, Mampimpi had to do all to beat three guys. So that's where our wingers and our speeds is coming to the game.
Absolutely. In a comment, Henk Klopper says, Morné Stan. Okay, I'll have to confess here to you very quickly, Victor. Huge fan of Morné Stan, and without attacking South African Rugby Union, or maybe I will, disappointed in coaches that he hasn't been a consistent pick, and he was off the team for a while there. They left him off in Europe. But anyway, first time I saw Morné play was at the Tri-Nations in Bloemfontein back in 2009 when you guys beat the All Blacks. It's the most Afrikaners I've ever seen in one spot in my life. There were like 45,000 people around me. It was unbelievable. It was a heck of a game back in the day of the Tri-Nations. You were out there then. It was pretty incredible. 2009 was a huge season for you in so many respects. Such a great year of the Tri-Nations. I think you also won the Super Rugby that year, if I'm not mistaken. Huge year for you and for the Bulls and for the Springboks, 2009.
Yeah, I played a lot of games with Morné Steyn, one of the real greats of South African rugby. I mean, we probably haven't played that much test matches, but for the Bulls, you were just outstanding. 2009 was a great year for us. I think we only lost 2 games at the whole Super Rugby, going into a final, beating them by 60 points, the Chiefs in a final. And then the British Lions beating them, then into the Tri-Nations back then, and beating New Zealand 3 times, winning the Tri-Nations was just unbelievable. Yeah, and I have to throw this in because not a lot of people know it. So then we played the All Blacks for a 4th time as the Barbarians. There was a few other guys in, but we were 9 Bulls players and Springbok players with Morné Steyn as well, and we beat them a 4th time in 1 year. So a fantastic year, 2009, and then the Bulls won the Currie Cup as well. So we had a pretty nice year.
That was quite a season. Now, I don't know if this is the case. I don't think you ever have. You've never played for the Babas, have you? You never put that jersey on. Have you played for the Babas?
I was captain of that. I was captain that game that we played against New Zealand.
Oh, okay. My bad. I misunderstood that. Okay. So that was the game. Okay. Yeah. No, it's, I at the 2015 Rugby World Cup, I think it was in Manchester when the game against Samoa. I think that's where it was, in Manchester, if I'm not mistaken. So I went downtown that day before the game because I was there, and I was walking around. And I walked right in the center of town, and I looked, and there's the Springboks bus, and I walked in, and I was like, oh, okay, there's the hotel, and took some nice pictures of the bus, and sat down in the lobby, and then some blokes came downstairs. These oaks sat down next to me. I'm like, there's Mornay Sten sitting right next to me. that was really. I really had a lot of high hopes for the 2015. I suspect you probably did too, because you came back. Yeah, I don't think everybody knows, but you took this. I'll call it a vacation, a career break there from rugby, and a lot of people who were fans of yours were disappointed. But you can't play forever. But then you came back a couple years later with the Bulls and eventually with the Springboks. What drove that? Your hunger for the game, or did someone twist your arm and say, we really need you, Victor? What brought you back in the game for those last 2 years?
No, actually, Heineke Meyer. So we worked with the Bulls for years together. So we built that 8-9 golden years of the Bulls. We built it together. I was the captain of the side. In 2011... 2008, Heineke thought he was going to get the Bok job. He didn't get it. And then 2011, I retired. And then a month later, Heineke got the job. And he asked me, listen, Victor, please come back for 2 years. Be my captain so that the guys understand how I want to play, how we do things. And I was actually keen to say, okay, I've announced I'm retiring, but I'll come out of retirement. But then there's a stupid law in world rugby where if you're an international player and you retire and you're out of the doping pool for more than 1 week, then you need to be back in the doping pool for 6 months before you can play again. And then I said, okay, 6 months, but then I'm going to miss the Tri-Nations. So why am I coming back if I'm only coming back for 2 months? And I said to Heineke, well, it's not going to work. And then at the end of the year, he said, okay, Victor, you didn't, but now I don't think you have to play 2 years. You have to play another World Cup. So get yourself ready, get yourself back in the doping pool and make sure you can play in 6 months' time. But I said, okay, that's right. Let's do it. My wife always say, Heineke Meyer is the only one that will be able to get me to jump into the fire if he asks me. So, we just had such a great relationship and mutual respect that when he asked me, I said, well, I like rugby. I feel I can still go. And I had a go at it. Unfortunately, that game against Samoa in the World Cup, I pulled my hamstring probably because I was 38 years old. And it was difficult. Tried to come back. I mean, I had 20 minutes against the All Blacks in the game in the semi-final where we lost by 2 points. And it's a pity I couldn't play that whole World Cup. I took over the crew or the squad captaincy when John de Villiers got sent back after he was injured, but unfortunately I really struggled to come back to play a part. But great end for me. Got the opportunity to captain the Boks in my last game against Argentina on that fourth playoff, and we had a great win. So
Not too bad. And you still brought it. You still had, you're still catching all those lineouts, pinching the other guys' lineouts. It was amazing. I've always called you the king of lineouts. It's been amazing. But I will say this. I was at that game, as I said, and I was on the side of the pitch when Jean de Villiers got hit, and I'm like, oh, no. You just knew it was he was down, and that was it. That was it for him. It's what a great player, oft injured, unfortunately, but what a great player. I'm sure he's a great teammate, too, and we hear him as a television presenter as well in SuperSport. But I also have to admit to something else, Victor. Bit of a fan, maybe a fanboy of Heineke Meyer. I thought he was an amazing Springbok coach, and a lot of people heap a lot of scorn over the loss to Japan. But I don't. Eddie Jones brought it. That was a heck of a game. That was a game for the ages. Unfortunately, we lost that game, but it was something else. But Heineke Meyer's, I'm a huge fan, and he has signed an agreement with the Houston SaberCats in Major League Rugby right here in the United States. And so for those who don't know, Heineke Meyer will be adding his talents to help out Major League Rugby for a team that's been a perennial doormat, so he's got his work cut out for him. But, it's interesting because I don't know if you keep up with rugby on this side of the Atlantic because we haven't had pro sport until recently. But Major League Rugby has really just had its final. And the Rugby ATL, a team that I cover extensively, has about a dozen South Africans on it. In fact, I've been accused by one of my moderators of kidnapping all the Western Province players and hiding them in my basement for interviews, because I'm always interviewing all these guys from Western Province. But it is interesting to see the South African influence on American rugby. It's making an impact here. It's not just South African. There's Kiwis and there's folks from England. Ben Foden plays over here. But a lot of South Africans on this side of the Atlantic, those well-known names and even those less well-known. And it is interesting to see. I'm hoping that Major League Rugby continues the growth that it's had, and then hopefully Hennekemeyer can make a difference there. I don't know if you know about his role with Major League Rugby. It looked like you kind of knew about that when I mentioned it.
Yeah, I spoke to him 2 weeks ago. Like I said, we've got a really good relationship. And I told him if there's good opportunity, he must talk to me as well to come have a look, maybe get involved somewhere in consulting or whatever with one of the teams. I know Pedro Vandenberg very well, that played down there as well. It sounds like he organised for Heineken as well. I had a very good chat. Gary Gold's actually down here in Cape Town at the moment. So I had a chat with him yesterday as well about what's happening there. And then I'm seeing Matt Gitau. Looks like his team won everything, because he's just with trophies and celebrating all over. So it's great to see these big names. I think you need those big names in the game, not just for marketing, but also just to give that culture, give that the knowledge that they've got. Ben Foden, I played with him at Northampton. Give that knowledge over to the younger players in the US. So I think everyone in the world is waiting for this league in America to explode at some stage. It hasn't happened yet, but it's good to see these big names over there. Hopefully, at some stage, they will get an opportunity to get more involved in bigger competitions, and then you probably will see money getting invested into the sport over there. So I think everyone in world rugby can't wait for this market in America just to explode, for rugby to grow worldwide.
Absolutely. That's the argument I've been making for a long time. When Super Rugby, which I think expanded beyond its reach, it just kept going. I mean, I love Super Rugby, but it went from 12 to 14 to 15 to 18. 18 really was saturation, and we saw problems with time zones and the travel. But when they did that, I said, if you're going to be that foolish, you might as well put a team in Hawaii or on San Diego or something like that, because you want to get into the world's largest media market. Now, we had 1 year of pro rugby. It went away after a year, and that was right after I came back from Africa, my last assignment in Africa with the Army. And then we've had Major League Rugby now for 4 years, including the season that was abbreviated because of COVID last year. But this final at the LA Coliseum between the Los Angeles Guillotines and the South African side, I mean the Atlanta side, there's so many South Africans on there, but in Los Angeles had the largest crowd, as far as I know, in Major League Rugby history, over 7,000. And that, with all the COVID restrictions, there were a limit on how many people they could have. That was the biggest crowd. A national TV audience. Hopefully it really does take off. But I think that well, I guess we should announce it here, folks. This is a exclusive. Victor Matfield will come out of retirement, play for the Houston SaberCats next year. No.
There's a lot of things going to happen. Playing again, never. I'll come help with coaching or whatever, but playing. I went out this morning to help Western Province, or the Stormers. I actually spent the whole day there, went through everything with them and had a quick look at what's happening. And even in the training, I said, I wouldn't even be able to get through a traiing now these days. These guys are just climbing into each other. They're getting bigger. They're getting stronger. I'm very happy I'm done and out of there.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's also so clinical and so scientific. For instance, the Rugby Atlanta team, they play their games at Lupo Field, which is where Life University is, and that's a postgraduate medical school, osteopathy and all these things. And a lot of their players come from there. A lot of their coaches come from there, and they have this connection. And these guys do everything. I mean, it's all physio. It's not your grandfather's rugby game. It's really changed just in the past decade.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, just the pace, it gets quicker. I mean, ball and play gets more, except Saturday. That's past between the South African and British Irish Lions. But the guys they're getting bigger. But as they're getting bigger, they're getting quicker and fitter as well. So, yeah, all of them are athletes these days. You don't get guys that's not athletes. And just with this new defense, we talked about it earlier. In the old days, the defense always waited. You were running onto them. Now it's two guys running at each other at 100 kilometers an hour both ways, and those collisions are just so big, and they're flying from everywhere. So, I must say the collisions these days are really big. These guys needs to be in top condition.
Well, I got a comment here in the chat from Hank. Hank says WP needs all the help he can get. Now, easy, Hank. You know that I'm a Province supporter. Sorry, Victor. Longtime Province supporter. Been since I was. No. Easy up. I know. Actually, they're looking kind of sad right now. I'll have to confess. But you know who's really impressing me is the Griquas. Oh man, the Griquas have been bringing it. They have been really bringing it. Now, you played with the Griquas for a while there. I didn't realize that early in your career before I followed you. You started with the Bulls, and then you quickly went to the Griquas. I do have to ask you this question. Were you such a tough rugby player because you're used to being bounced off the concrete pitch up there at Kimberley?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I came from Polokwane. So I grew up in the country district. So you're used to those playing on thorns and everything on weekends. And then I went to Pretoria at Tukkies University, playing for the Blue Bulls as a junior. Very nice soft grass, and went to Griquas for 2 years with Swayze de Bruin, the Springboks backline coach. And I just heard that people hate to come to Kimberley because it's so hard. For us, it was fine. So maybe those days just toughened me up a little bit, and it was part of the success.
Now, I've gotten several questions here, Victor. I don't know if you're able to answer, so one answer. But when you first went into retirement, there was a lot of talk about you considering coaching position, taking over coaching places. And folks here are asking about, I would imagine, I can't speak for you, but imagine if the opportunity came along, you probably would be interested in coaching. But is that something you desire to do, you hope to do at some point, or you're pursuing? Will you become a coach, and maybe in Major League Rugby?
I was assistant in those 2 years that I retired. I was forward and attack coach of the Bulls team. Yeah. So I was assistant coach of the Super Rugby team. And then when I went back, I was player coach as well. So I still coached the forwards and the attack with the Bulls. And 2.5 years ago, the Bulls offered me the opportunity to become the head coach at the Bulls, which at that stage I didn't take. A bit sad about that, maybe the wrong decision, because I still got the passion for the game. So, it's a difficult thing. Luckily, I've got a very successful business where I'm involved in at the moment that I'm CEO of. And I think if the time is right and the opportunity is right, I've got Johan van Gaan that coaches at Les Munster in Ireland. We're very close. So, hopefully when he comes back to South Africa, I can let the company go. I've got my shares and get back into the game. I love this game. I so enjoyed today. I mean, I was actually just there for the line-out session, and I just stayed the whole day, sit in and give my opinion on quite a few other things. And I just got a passion for this game, and I just love it.
No, Ant says Victor still has the eye of the tiger. Indeed, you do. You can see it. You can see the hunger and the passion. I mean, if Victor could shave 10 years off his frame and his age, he'd probably be out on the pitch right now. I guarantee it. I just look at that. You can see he wants to get out there. You know, it's an amazing game, rugby. I was introduced to it as a freshman at university, and ever since then, I fell in love with the game. That's back in 1982. We won't tell anybody that, but that was a while ago. But I've never introduced anyone to the game of rugby, Victor, that said, "Oh, I don't get this game. I don't like it." Every person I've ever introduced to the game is like, "This game is amazing. How come I didn't know about it?" Especially like here in the States, but even in parts of Africa. It's an amazing game that brings people together, and it's a game that requires intelligence, it requires physical ability, and it's also a game that a little guy like Cheslin Colby or a huge guy like Bakkies Botha can play on the pitch. Anybody can play out there in all kinds of positions. I mean, if you see Cheslin Colby deliver hits on guys twice his size and take them down, it's just amazing. So that's the thing about rugby. Any thoughts about that before we wrap up, about how it's a game open to pretty much everybody? Women play the game as well.
Yeah, that's the best part of rugby. And unfortunately, sevens is close to rugby. It's not rugby. And at sevens, it's all athletes. And rugby, there's a position for every shape and size. I mean, there's fat oaks, there's tall oaks, there's thin oaks, there's strong oaks. There's just everything. Then there's clever oaks, then there's fast oaks. So there's just a place for everyone. And the nice thing as well is, I mean, every team can play the way they want. You can get a team like South Africa that want to play the physical game, play a territory game. Then you can get New Zealand that want to throw the ball around. And on the day, it's just whose strategy will work and who will outsmart who. So I love this game. And I mean, I'm a purist. So like Saturday's game, a lot of people say, yeah, but I love that game. The small things that make the difference for us all of a sudden beating them by 20 points. And the previous week we lost. Go and have a look at that. This morning when I was at Western Province, the attention to detail. Sometimes people miss it and they just want to keep going. I said, that's the things that will make a difference. You can't miss it. You have to have a look at it. Everything needs to be perfect. So, yeah, I love this game. Everyone can get involved. And I think it's a game for gentlemen. Although we climb into each other, we go at each other. Afterwards, we have a beer together. We sit in the change room. You go over, you have a beer, and next week you go at each other again.
Well, that's exactly what my impression of it the first time, because I watched the game. I don't even remember the score. I was on this in touch because there were no stands. It was down in the band practice fields, and it's going back and forth. I'm like, it's not Australian rules football. It's sure not soccer, thank goodness. And it's not American football, but I love this game. It's really cool. And that's just kind of where it grew from there. Well, I always wear a rugby jersey on my broadcast, and today I wore kind of a throwback. This is one you'll recognize from way back in the day.
Yeah. Beautiful one.
Yeah, so I still got this one. Last year when Sia Khaleesi's thing came out, people were complaining, and then they were running around about cutting up their Springbok jerseys. I stood here in front of the camera with about 35 Springbok jerseys and said, I'm not cutting up my Springbok jerseys. I mean, I've been collecting these for 30 years, and these things cost a lot of money, and I'm a Springboks fan. Whatever Sia did or didn't say, or however people inferred or interpreted it, that's on them. But I'm a Springboks fan through and through. So, Victor Matfield, it's a pleasure to have you on. You've been very generous with your time. I don't want to overstay because I want to get you back on at some point. But, okay, so can I put you on the spot? Are you able to do that? I'm saying the Bucks by at least 10 this weekend. Are you able to say anything, or just say they're going to play well, or what's the word?
I think the Bucks will win as well. I don't think it's going to be by that big a margin. I think it's actually going to be tight. I think the Lions will be better as well this weekend. They've got picked two wingers and fullback that's better under the high ball, so they'll get better return there. So I think it's going to be close, but I think when it comes to that last 20, 30 minutes, the physicality of the back or forwards will just be too much.
Well, the viewing audience seems to be in agreement with you. They're already typing in scores before I asked that question. The Bucks close, Bucks by 5. Yeah, there you go. And a lot of people, a lot of great comments here telling us that you're legendary. You're the favorite player they ever had, Springbok. Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, Victor. It's a pleasure.
Thanks very much.
It's my pleasure. Hopefully we can get you back on sometime. It's an open invitation. Cheers.
Will do. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, folks, that's Victor Matfield. Wow, how awesome was that? That was. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Tuning in this morning, Victor Matfield, an absolute legend of South African rugby, and quite frankly, a legend of world rugby. The guy's amazing, and quite a nice oak. I've always heard he's a nice gentleman, and wow, that's what he is. Really enjoyed the conversation. You know, we got started talking about the British and Irish Lions series. I didn't really expect to do that. I was like ready and prepared to start asking about growing up playing rugby and growing up in Petersburg or Polokwane and what's going on there. And we didn't get to that. We started right off with the British and Irish Lions series, and I thought that was quite interesting. So I hope that you all enjoyed this conversation. Please share the links and let people know about it. It was fantastic from my perspective. Mornay stand to kick the winning drop goal, penalty goal, says Hank. Well, that would be awesome. It'd be awesome to see Mornay get another test match under his belt, too. Yeah, but we covered a lot of ground there. Anyway, folks, that's Victor Matfield, Springbok number 705. Thanks a lot. You can go back and watch it, Lynn, after the fact. It's there for folks to watch after the fact. And I'll also load this up on the Rugby Ascendant channel, so you'll be able to catch it there as well. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back a little bit later in about 90 minutes for Indaba Africa News of the Day on Stray Voltage. Thank you for your support. My thanks to my special featured guest, Victor Matfield. This was awesome. And also to the person who helped me organize this. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Everybody take care, and I'll catch you all back here in about 90 minutes. Thanks a lot, folks. Just want to wrap up this stream. There we go. And thanks a lot. Once again, my thanks to Victor Matfield. Brilliant. You can see the hunger, right? You can still see it. This is a guy that loves the game, and with good reason. He's an absolute legend. He's accomplished so much in the game. We even talked about that amazing 2009 season. That was pretty cool. All right, folks, we'll see you here in about 90 minutes.